Indeed. Now, the issue of getting enough sleep is a popular topic in modern society, and we are surrounded by guidelines on how best to achieve a restful kip, whilst there are sleep specialists, sleep clinics, medication, of course, available to help us. Now, a professor in America has written a book which suggests we take a few hints from the way our ancestors approached sleep. Rebecca Lee explains.
Whether you need a full 8 hours to feel revived or you get by on the bare minimum, sleep is a basic human need and we all need it to survive. Simple. Yet, insomnia and sleep anxiety are increasing in adults and children. So when did our relationship with a good night's sleep become so complicated? At the turn of the 19th century, our sleeping habits evolved. Instead of listening to our bodies and the seasons and adjusting our slumber accordingly, people began to fit in rest around clocks and commerce, and the sleep disorders multiplied. We all know lack of sleep impacts negatively on health and productivity, and tips for a successful snooze are everywhere. Limit caffeine, no screens in bed, wake up at the same time every morning. The list goes on. Yet it seems the modern world is getting it wrong. So while we may be better off getting back to basics and listening to our bodies as our ancestors did, this is, well, easier said than done for most in this busy, globalised 21st century.
Some of the thoughts there, actually, of Benjamin Rees, who's the author of the book named Wild Nights: How Taming Sleep Created Our Restless World. Benjamin Rees joins me now. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Just sort this out for me. I always thought 8 hours a night was a sort of law of nature, really. That's about what we need.
Well, it is true that we need to spend about a third of our lives sleeping. But how we distribute that sleep is variable according to culture and historical period. As we know, there are many napping cultures, but it was also common in Europe and in much of North America before the 19th century to distribute nighttime sleep in two different chunks. So the idea of 8 hours of unbroken sleep all at once is very much a recent invention, as are many of our other rules about sleeping.
Explain that nighttime sleep into two chunks then, because that was sort of my next logical question. Is we have daytime and daylight, then we have nighttime and darkness. We go to sleep in the dark. We don't see very well in the dark. It's the best thing to do. What are these two chunks about?
Well, I draw on the work of historian Roger Ebert, who showed that often, first of all, we all wake up in the middle of the night many times. And some of us wake up for longer than others. But the idea of compressing all that sleep into one package is something that really came along with industrialization and the rise of electric lighting in the 19th century. And prior to that time, it was common for people to arise for an hour or 90 minutes, and they would often have a dream interpretation or prayer, or rituals of lovemaking in the middle of the night, and that's something that we've completely lost. That wasn't necessarily the only way that people slept before the industrial age. There were people who slept at different points during the day, and sleep could be quite variable according to season as well.
Right, so this brings us to the title of your book, really, How Taming Sleep Created Our Restless World. Is it your suggestion by that actually the way we do it now is not particularly good for us?
Well, I think there's more anxiety and fussing over sleep probably than there ever has been in human history. We have over 2,500 sleep clinics in my country alone. We have sleep hygiene books, and a sense that sleep is something that we have to train ourselves to do. It's a very odd thing. It's a natural activity common to all living creatures. Why do we have to train our children to do it the correct way according to a system or a method? There's so many competing methods that I think it creates anxiety and conflict around it.
There's not really much way around that, though, is there, Benjamin? Not in our day and age.
Right. Well, we're hyper-scheduled. I think what I'm trying to suggest in my book is that a lot of what we experience as difficult sleep or conflicted sleep, we tend to interpret it as a medical problem, when I think, in fact, a lot of the problems have to do with the social expectations that we bring to sleep. And those social expectations come out of history. So I'm trying to give people a different perspective on the way they sleep and to get them to think about what expectations are you bringing to it? What rules are you trying to sleep by? And are those really the best ones? Sure, they're hard to change, but certainly knowing that's where the trouble is can be a help.
So having a company say, I tell you what, after you've been to lunch, you get a half-hour nap, because naturally that's what we want to do. That would be perhaps even a productive thing to offer.
It could be, although I would say that one of the things that's marked sleep over the last couple of hundred years is we've turned it into a matter of economics. And we often sleep because we want to improve either our bottom line or more often somebody else's bottom line. Often companies that do this are really trying to squeeze more work out of their workers and get them to stay longer. Sure. That's not necessarily great for restful sleep, right?
No, we've noticed that. Benjamin, thank you very much indeed. Benjamin Rees joining us there on our sleep patterns of today. That is GMT. Bye for now.